Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to the next session. Today we are going to learn on verbs. What are verbs? Verbs are words that denotes an action. So keep in mind, verbs mean anything which is action. For example, right now I'm teaching and this can be called as action. And if I dance, then yes. When I dance, then that is dancing is also a verb. And if I smile, then yes, that is also an action. Therefore, it is a verb right now. Okay, so right now, I'll explain you more about verbs and the categories of verb. And the first one is main verb. Main verb, or we call even lexical verb. So I write it here below, down, lexical verbs. And the next one is auxiliary verb or helping verb. So we write it here, helping verb or auxiliary verb. It is just the same. Auxiliary verb, or we call it auxiliaries in plural. So as I said, we have two broad categories of verbs. The first one is main verb, or we call it lexical verb. Second one is helping verb, or we call it auxiliary verb. It's just simple. Now, under these main verbs, we have five forms. We have five forms. The first one is V1. We call it verb 1. So I just wrote it in short form. V1, V2, V3, V4, and V5. And what is V1? What is V1? Verb 1. Verb 1 is present. It's present. V5 is also present. Keep in mind, V5 is also present. So we have two presents here. V1, verb 1 present, verb 5 present. But yes, guys, V1 and V5 are totally different. Why is it different? Because it is present and plural. Present and plural. And V5 is present and singular. So it's clear. And now let's go for the V2. The V2 is the past. Past and simple past. And V5 is past participle. Past participle. And V4 is present participle. Present participle. Now guys, one thing to be keep in mind here is that when I say past participle and or present participle does not mean that every time past participle will be always past tense. No, that is not the true. That's not a fact. And when I say present participle, it is not mean that every time it will be present. It will be present tense. No, it can be also present or past. This can also be present or past. I mean, this can be also used. Both can be used in present or either past. Now, I'll give you one more example. I'll give you an example of a verb. For example, if you say go, then it is present plural, and if you say went, then it is past, and if you say gone, then it is V3 past participle, and if you say going, then it is present participle, and if you say goes, then it is a present singular. I'll give you one more example. For example, eat. It is plural, present plural, and at is a past tense, and it can be used in past tense, and eaten is used in V3, and eating is used in V4, and it's is used as present and singular. So when guys, one thing which you may say or you may confuse is that when I say go as plural, you may say that go is singular, but actually go is not singular. And when I say goes, you may say that it is plural, but actually it is singular. But now when this confusion starts, because you are confused between the two things, that is noun and verb. You are confused between noun and verb. In the case of a verb, in the case of a noun, when you say apple, then it is singular. It is singular. But if you say apples, then it is plural. This is in the case of noun. But in the case of a verb, see, apple is a name. Apples is also a name, plural name. But when you say verb, then it is no more a name. Verb is an action. So the singularity and the plurality of a name and an action is just the opposite. So in the case of a verb, if you say eat, and if you say that it is singular, then it is wrong. Why? Because it should be eats. And if you say in the plural, if you say eats, then it is wrong. Why? Because in the case of a verb, in the case of an action, it should be plural and its should be singular. And that is the opposite of noun and verb. That is the difference between noun and verb. And you should not get confused with noun and verb over here. Now let us go and explain more about helping verb or auxiliaries. So under auxiliaries, we have 4 kinds of verbs. That is, the first one is be verb, have verb, do verb, and the last one is modals. What is the singular of be verb? The singular is, okay, I'll write it here, singular, and here as plural. And this will be for everything. Be, when you say singular, then it is or, am. And when you say plural, what is the plural of is and am? Are. What is the past of is and am? It is was. And what is the past of are? Were. This be has different names when it is singular and present, when it is singular and past, when it is plural and present, yes, and plural and past. It has different names now. So what is the singular of be? In the present, it is and am. What is the past? Was. What is the plural and singular of plural and present? Are. Plural and past? Were. Let us learn more about have. So have is here. And what is the singular of have? Has. Has. H-A-S, has. What is the plural? Have. What is the past of has? Had. And the same is with have also. What is the past of have? It is had. Fine. So let us learn more about do. What is the singular of do? Does. And what is the plural of do? Do. What is the past of does? Did. And the past of do? Did. This is the same. So it's easy. So it is easy. Now, when you say do, what is the singular of do? Does. What is the plural? What is the plural? Do. And what is the past of this? Does and do. It is just both did. Okay, now coming back to modals. In modals, I cannot say that this part is singular and this part is plural. We don't have such in modals. We don't have singular plurality in modals as such. Okay, first let's start with shall. Shall and should. Will, would, can, could, may, might, and ought to, dare to, and it goes on. Actually, we need some more space, but yes, it's just simple, like shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might, ought to, dare to, need, and ought. It goes on. And even if you say modals plus have, for example, shall have or should have, still it is modal. Will have, would have, and it goes on. You need to learn this properly. If you learn this properly, all these things, then definitely tenses is going to be very, very simple for you. Helping verb will always help main verb. And if, only if helping verb helps the main verb, then only we call them as helping verb. If the helping verb is not helping main verb, then we cannot call them as helping verb. Instead, we can call them as acting main verb or even main verb. For example, see, if I say Sebastian is teaching. Sebastian is teaching. So when you say Sebastian is teaching. When you say Sebastian is teaching, Sebastian is the subject and is the helping verb. Is the helping verb, HV, and teaching is the main verb, MV, in short. So right now, is the helping verb and teaching is the main verb. Okay, fine, I have not written here teaching. Okay, if you want, let me write it down. So teach, V1, taught, T-A-U-G-H-T, taught, and again with 3 is also taught, T-A-U-G-H-T, yeah, T-A-U-G-H-T, again the same thing. And V4 is teaching, V5 is teaches. Sebastian is teaching. So now is helping the main verb teaching. Now if you say Sebastian is a teacher, then in this case we don't have main verb, we only have helping verb as of now. But since this helping verb is not helping the main verb, therefore we don't call it as a helping verb. Instead we call it as a main verb. That is what I was talking about. So that means what? If a helping verb is not helping the main verb, then it is not called a helping verb. Instead it is called as main verb. Clear, guys? So as of now we are clear about this. Now I'll briefly tell you how to use be along with the which one main verb and have which main verb. Now be verb is always used along with V4, verb 4. That is, like for example, if you are making use of be verb, then we have this helping verb should always have the main verb. The main verb V4. Like for example, is going, is eating, is teaching. For example, he is singular, and he is teaching, he is going, he is eating. And if it is plural, they are going, they are teaching, they are eating, and it goes on like that. And have is used along with V3 every time. So like for example, whenever you use have as a helping verb, then you have to use all the V3. For example, he is singular, therefore you have to say he has. Now he has gone, he has eaten, he has taught, whatever, he has taught English. Okay, they, plural, they, so you have to say they have gone, they have eaten, they have taught, and it goes on. And guys, for do we have to use V1, V2, and V5 along with do. V1, V2, and V5 along with do. That also in some few condition, that is only when it is negative sentence and only when it is interrogative. So negative in a sense, negative sentence, like for example, I'm not going to school, not. Whenever you say not, then the sentence becomes a negative sentence. And whenever you are asking question, interrogative, like for example, do you go to school? Do you go to school? So we use do family, and whenever I do not go to school. See, it is a negative sentence. I do not go to school. So whenever in that case only we can use V1, V2, and V5 along with the do family. So do V1 is present and plural. So what is the present and plural over here? Do is the present and plural over here. So we use along with V1 along with do, and V2 along with did, past. Did is a past tense. Sorry, did is past. Therefore we have to use V2 along with the did, and V5 is present and singular. Therefore we have to use, what is the present singular? Present singular is do over here, so we have to use V5 along with this, and only when it is negative interrogative or even negative interrogative. So I wrote it here in short form, and I means negative interrogative. So let us make sentence, for example, in this. Now when you say positive, I go to school or I go to college. So let's say I go to college. Now if you say, okay, she goes to college, let's say, for example, she goes to college. So she goes to college is a positive sentence. It is not negative. So we cannot use do with this V1 and V5. So we have to make it in negative. Like for example, she is singular, therefore you have to say she does not go to college. She does not go to college. And keep in mind, guys, now thus we have already used singular as does. We have already used for singular as does. Therefore, the main verb will be always become V1. Keep in mind. If the sentence says that she did not go to school. Okay, when you say she did not go to school, now again, did is already talking about the past. So therefore, we don't have to mention she did not went to school. Then it is wrong. Therefore, because see, when is also past and did is also past, we don't need two past over here. So therefore, we say she did not go to school. And for she, okay, for plural do, okay, they we can use they for plural do. Now they do not go to school. They do not go to school. And for singular we cannot say that they does not goes to school. We cannot say. All right, so this is the basic concept of verbs. And if you know verbs very clearly, all these things, then this is the continuous tense, this is the perfect tense, and this is the simple tense. So all the tenses are over here. So if you know all these verbs properly, then tenses is very simple, because tenses is already here. This is a simple tense, this is a continuous tense, this is a perfect tense. We just need to add perfect continuous tense. Thank you very much. We will see you in the next sessions with this using verbs and making tenses in this next session. Thank you.